welcome here to TalkFCB and welcome back to the Champions League. And whilst this may only be Xavi's second game in charge of Barcelona, he has already inherited a win or bust situation as Barca's Champions League fate is likely to be decided in the coming 90 minutes. And we are going to be discussing the big encounter to come between Barca and Benfica and the players that Xavi could call upon to get us over the line and get the job done. It is all coming up. We simply cannot fail. Because kickoff will be coming to us live from the Camp Nou once again at 8 p.m. local time on Tuesday there in Group E. And after 75,000 supporters were inside the stadium on Saturday for Xavi's debut against Espanyol, he has called upon the fans to return for what he described as a war against Benfica. He wants the volume turned up, the fans out in force, because boy, are we gonna need them? Because as you can see right here in Group E, Barca's situation, looking at it right there, is not too bad. We are second in the group. It's not, of course, where we want to be, but we are currently ahead of Benfica. But of course, when we're about now to look at the different scenarios, is that if we were level on points with Benfica at any stage, it will be decided on head-to-head record, which, given our previous results, is not exactly ideal. Which means that if we lost to Benfica, they would then leapfrog us. They played Dinamo Kiev at home in the last game, and it would mean basically that we would need them to slip up against Dinamo, and only a win away at Bayern would take us through there to the knockout stages. If we drew the game, that is slightly, very slightly, less damaging, because we would stay, for the time being, ahead of Benfica. But again, if they were to beat Dinamo in that last game, they would move on to 8 points, which would mean again that Barca would need to win at Bayern. But of course, the result that we're all looking for is this one right here. It is very simple. If we win at the Camp Nou on Tuesday, we've done it. We are through to the knockout stages with one game to spare. And of course for Xavi and all of his players, that is the objective. And to get you all very much fired up for this game, I'm going to do this in a bit of a strange way, because actually I want to take you back to 2 months ago. I want to take you back there to one of the worst Champions League performances I have ever seen from Barca. Honestly, it's one of the biggest embarrassments that I've ever suffered as a Barca fan, and given some of the Champions League collapses we've had in recent times, that is really saying something. Because against Benfica, we went there, we didn't compete for a single second, they scored very early on, and they completely destroyed us for the full 90 minutes. 3-0 did not flatter them, they deserved that result, and it was a night that destroyed us in so many different ways. Because let's not forget, of course, that was also the game where Pedri was rushed back, the new Golden Boy winner, rushed back in that game, and now, of course, the relapse has meant that we still haven't even seen him since. But actually, guys, I don't only want to remind you there of that performance, I don't only want to remind you of those feelings of anger, of hurt from that game, but I want to remind you of the aftermath of that game, and not on the side of Barca, because I want to talk to you here about what came out from Benfica's side after that win, because I think actually they were laughing at us. They thought that game was easy for them, and it was. You had Rafa Silva there coming out after the game. He said he didn't take anything special. He said this wasn't even a test for us against Barcelona, and quite clearly, Benfica felt as though it was easy. Even Jorge Jesus, their coach there, admitted that he shaped his whole game plan around the fact that Benfica were probably going to concede against Barcelona. He could not believe his goalkeeper didn't have a save to make, not a single shot on target. And this is the one for me that even now, coming into this game, I still remember it. And it still leaves a very sour taste in my mouth. Because when 33-year-old Nicolas Otamendi came face to face with 19-year-old Ansu Fati, a young kid, let's not forget, who only just returned from a horrific time out with injury, what did Otamendi do? He stood there in his face, he taunted him, he made a mockery of Ansu Fati when Otamendi was on the verge of victory. And what I will say right now is do not forget this. Use this emotion. If you're the Barcelona players right now, get your revenge. What we saw in Lisbon It was not Barcelona. That is not who we are. That is not what we represent. And we have the opportunity now, back at the Camp Nou, in our cathedral of football, to set the record straight. We're still alive here. We are still fighting in this group. We can put things right, but only if we take this chance. But of course, guys, make no mistake about it whatsoever, as much as we want to win this game, as much as we did see improvement and certain encouragement in the performance against Espanyol, one thing that you can guarantee, if we allow the number of clear-cut chances that we did in the final stages of that game against Benfica, they're going to punish us. They have shown throughout the season they can score goals. We saw that in the 3-0. They're coming into this game with real confidence. They're doing well domestically, and certainly here, we cannot afford to be open defensively. We cannot afford to fall asleep and come under pressure in the big moments. We have to stand up. And of course, Xavi has some big selection dilemmas to ponder coming into this game. Because as we heard earlier on today in the press conference, we discussed it there over on MORETALKFCB, Xavi confirmed there'll be no Ilyas Akomash, no Abde and no Jukla there in the squad for the Champions League game. And the likes of Dest, Dembele, Sergio Roberto all coming to the end of their recoveries, but are they going to be ready? And who is going to play in those wider areas? Which has prompted a big question of Xavi. Do you in this game, even with the lack of wingers, stick with 4-3-3 and again find some way there of playing someone out on the left, finding somebody out on the right-hand side? Or, he didn't rule it out earlier in the press conference, do you change systems slightly? Do you play there, maybe 3 at the back, pack the midfield a little bit more, get plenty of bodies there around Memphis, and solely rely only on the wing-backs to provide that width? That's the question that again we're asking of Xavi, and let's see what he decides. Because honestly, guys, coming into this game, I do believe that Xavi will stick with his principles. He will stick there with that 4-3-3 setup. And what I would say is, looking at that backline there, I wouldn't expect too many changes, because I also wouldn't think right throughout this team, in the game against Espanyol, the subs didn't really do enough to stamp their authority on this lineup. Apart from Abde, who came on and made a real impact, who can't play, nobody else really came on and said, you know what, I should be in that team. So I wouldn't expect too many changes in this game. In midfield, I think we had a really good setup there. I also like the structure and the organisation of that midfield with Busquets, Frenkie de Jong, Nico Gonzalez. Frenkie and Nico are so key there in not only controlling in midfield, being on the ball and combining, but getting up there and supporting Memphis Depay in that central role. But like I say, the big questions come once again in those wider areas, which are essential to play this system successfully, and will be so again against Benfica. On the left, I would stick with Gavi, because I thought he was brilliant in that role. I thought he played it. And I think Xavi would have been really proud at the way that he put his instructions into action. Gavi, really good, even out wide, which is, of course, not quite where we want to see him when we've got everyone fit. But what are you going to do on the right? Like I say, there's no Ilyas, there's no Abde. Dembele, maybe, it's a big maybe, might be able to come on in this game in a similar way to what he did against Dinamo, but again, we're not going to take any risks at all. Dest again, really pushing to try and be involved in this game, but I don't quite see him being ready. Then you've got Coutinho and Demir, who I don't think Xavi really sees as wingers that can play in this kind of system. And in the end, guys, when all things considered, I wouldn't be that surprised if it was Sergio Roberto, which of course is a decision there that will come under mixed reception if it does happen. But I think given the lack of wingers that we have, given the real absences we have in this team right now, Roberto, we've seen him play before in a wide role, and you would hope that Xavi could give him some sort of instruction, some sort of understanding of exactly what he needs to do. But the reality is, out wide, we are stretched, we are limited, but we got to win that game in the midfield. And we got to hope that Memphis, again, is a lot of pressure on him right now to deliver the goals that we need. But what do you make there if that was to be the team? And I think when we do come on to the predictions, what we can see very clearly from all of us coming into this game is that we know it's going to be tough. We know that we have a lot of players there who will be the ones scoring the goals, out injured. They're not going to be available. We are really struggling right now to just get that final touch. Everything, the build-up was good against Espanyol. We created a number of chances, but it's about putting that ball in the back of the net. That's what we need to do against Benfica. Keep it tight at the back. don't allow goals against you, because you would fancy us to get one. And hopefully, that is going to be enough, because we have to win this game. If we can do that, follow up on that Espanyol performance, win again here, we would be bouncing. We would be qualified for the knockout stages of the Champions League. Please let me know all of your predictions and exactly what you're expecting out there on Tuesday night at the Camp Nou. Let's hope for more promise, for more optimism, and a big, big result. I will see you after the game for all of the reaction. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for your support. I will see you soon. Let's keep fighting. As always, Visca El Barça.